another good spirited practice. This is the last day that we'll just have to come out and just helmets and no pads. There's not a whole lot you can do, and I worry more about injuries these 2 days than I do the days when we got pads on. But the real deal starts about halfway tomorrow. We come out with shoulder pads. We'll have some contact. We're doing as much with the younger guys right now as we possibly can, trying to get them caught up. It's hard to keep practicing at this pace with receivers and running backs and DBs, so those guys are getting more rest right now, the first and second team, waiting we get into the real practices. So tomorrow will be a little bit more of a first and second team group, but still a lot of work with the younger players. Perry Young, just to name a couple of guys that's really standing out. Perry Young on defense, he's playing a nickelback, a young kid from Spain Park. I tell you, he really looks good physically. Now he's got a lot to learn what's going on. Devin Grey, offense, we know what he can do. I tell you, he can fly, and he's going to make a difference for us. Michael Pitts, defensive end. Watch those three today, and they're what you're looking for. So they might make us better this year. I know they'll make us better in the future, but they might really be a factor for us this year, making some plays once we get mid-season. But right now we're trying to take a look at all of the young guys to make sure we get them in the right position before we get into contact, full speed, turn Saturday and Sunday. Questions?
I wasn't here yesterday, so I apologize.
Oh, my God. He was eating lobsters.
I was flying back from the deal. A lot of talk about the quarterbacks, and does Ross Trail have a legitimate shot? Now, how is he looking?
Yeah, he's got a good shot. I think probably what right now he's trying to do is make a name for himself to make the top two. Try to work in the top two, because usually we play two quarterbacks, and I think he's definitely in that because he had a better than good spring, and he's come back in good shape. His head's not spinning as much as it was in the spring, and he looks a lot more confident. But we're going to give him every opportunity to be the starter. I don't really, as I said, I don't care. Run the football team, don't turn the ball over. Have confidence. Players have confidence in them, and he's got all the tools. He's probably the most athletic of the three, in throwing and running and making plays. But again, he's also the least experienced. So we're going to give him a good look, see how far he's come in a year.
During your career, how many times have you started a red shirt freshman at the beginning of the season?
Oof. I tell you, more than you would think, because usually what happens if you've got a real good one is you can't get somebody to come in until they see the light at the end of the tunnel to back them up. And usually it's a second-year guy, red shirt, and then second year, and they usually start. But I've had several, and you've got growing pains, but you've got to understand what you've got. You've got to make sure that you give them opportunities to have success, especially early in the season, and you can't expect them to win for you. I thought the performance of Hayden Moore in the Memphis game in the 3 quarters he played was about as good as I've ever seen from a redshirt freshman. And even though we didn't win the game, he gave us a chance to win, and throwing for 570 and scoring all those points and coming off cold off the bench. So, who knows? Ross could come in and could be that type of guy, because I tell you, he's a winner, and he really likes to play that position, and you really got to like it to play college football.
What does it mean to you to have a guy like Deshaun Bond anchor the offense?
Yeah, well, we got a relatively experienced group up the middle. The tackles are ones that obviously don't have as much experience, but he's the leader. He's been the leader of our offense this summer. I mean, he took over not just the offensive line, but the running backs, the wide receivers, the quarterbacks. He was the guy. He was the voice of reason. When we needed to get things and do things better in the summer, players are really high on Deshaun. And he's a good guy. He's a team player, and players see that. A lot of times players aren't team players that try to talk, and people don't follow them as much. So he is a vocal and leader, and he also leads by experience. Plus, he's a good person.
Can you tell? I know it's early, but he's gotten better from last year, or just I don't know.
Oh yeah, Deshaun. Yeah, he's gotten better now. He missed a couple games last year at the end of the season because of injury, but he's been my center since I've been here. First year out of necessity, and then since then he's been spot on. He's never really had a bad game. He's had as everybody's had bad plays. But at the end of the day, when you average scores up, he's played winning football for us. And so that's important to have him back this year with a couple of young guys on the offensive line and a lot of younger guys behind him.
How's it been with the new coaches after a couple days? Different pace, what's different?
No, you pick up from spring ball, especially right now. This is just you're trying to get the young guys all going and coach all of them as much as you can. And it's a little bit frustrating because it's kind of starting over, teaching them from basic stuff because you don't get to work with them that much in the summer. But, no, we got good guys. We got a great plan. I like the offense. I like what we're doing. I think it's going to take the pressure off the quarterbacks a little bit. I thought last couple of years, with the receivers that we had, we put more pressure on the quarterback. And I think we've got to put more pressure on the offensive line and the running game. And that's got to be number one for us is the running game. Now, we're going to be able to throw it, and you got to be able to do that because when you start running it, people have to start defending the run, and that opens the pass. Last year we passed it, and people knew we were going to pass it, and we still completed it. But we had the type of receivers to make plays and get the job done with that. But this year it's going to be a little bit different. Now, we're going to be good at receiver. We're just going to make inexperienced mistakes and run wrong routes at times and drop footballs. And last year we didn't have much of that. Guys were in the right position, and we had playmakers.